We have the great opportunity here today to have government in action. And Secretary of State Barbara Sagaski is here. She is third in line in our government of elected officials behind the governor and the lieutenant governor, and she's taken time out of her schedule to be with us today. And I think that that is really, really a huge deal for us. So if you could please, initial round of applause. The Honorable Sagaski has been serving the state of Nevada since 1996, when she was first elected to the Nevada Assembly by the voters in Clark County, District 5, and then elected to the Nevada Senate in 2002, where she served 3 terms before running for and winning the Secretary of State's office in 2014 for the Republican Party. Her office is responsible for maintaining the official records and acts of the Nevada legislature and the executive branch of the state of Nevada, as well as overseeing all elections in the state and registering all businesses. She's here today, or also here today with her is the Chief Deputy Secretary of State, Scott Anderson, and Deputy Secretary Dave Thorley, and Jennifer Russell, all from the Secretary of State's office. Seniors, I ask you today to make sure that you're giving your 100% best senator attention. And so, seniors, please join me and give a big senator welcome to the Honorable Secretary of State, Barbara Sagaski, and her staff.
I'm going to come back here more often. You guys are awesome. This is great. How many are 18? All right. How many will be 18 by November 8th? We get to vote. Oh, that is absolutely incredible. Are all of you registered to vote? All right. If you're not, Wayne's going to talk to you about how you can become registered, because you know you can do it online, right? Okay. We've got a bunch of stuff to tell you today. We want to answer your questions. We want to give you information about what we do and what the Secretary of State does. And just to clarify everything, I am not the U.S. Secretary of State. I am not in Washington. I am the Secretary of State for Nevada. Because there is a difference, a big difference, okay? And we can get into more of that if you have more questions on that. I was asked 4 questions. And so I'm going to give you the answers to the 4 questions that I was given that you have asked about. I was born in Minnesota, the state of Minnesota, a small town called Faribault, Minnesota. But I grew up in Rochester. Maybe you've heard of the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. That's where I grew up, and that's where my father had his business, and my grandparents were there. I'm from a family of 6 kids. I'm number 4 out of 6. There were 3 girls and 3 boys. And yes, I am a Republican. I have always been a Republican. So, and you heard about my public service history, but how I got started. Everyone wants to know how you got started. Why did you want to get into politics? And for me, it was pretty simple in the beginning. I was a PTA president at my son's elementary school. And as a PTA president, I was very dismayed at the lack of money that was being spent and given to the teachers in the classroom. As a small business owner, we were asked to contribute. As a parent, we were asked to contribute on a regular basis. And I knew how much we were giving in taxes, both federally and state, and wanted to know why. So they told me it was the school board trustees. So a group of us parents went before the school board trustees in Clark County, and they told us it wasn't their fault, that it was the state legislature's fault. So we took a bus to Carson City and went to our legislators and said, why can't we get money down into the classroom? They told us as parents, and let me tell you, driving up in a bus with a bunch of moms is quite an incredible trip. So we get to Carson, what do they tell us? It's not our fault, it's the federal government's fault because they give us so many mandates, we have to have matching funds and we don't have enough money to go around. So where did we go as moms? We went to Washington, D.C. And the elected officials that we had there at the time that we could get in to see, we did. And they told us that it was the responsibility of the state and not only the state, but the school district. It was their responsibility to take the money they had and distribute it where they thought the most need was. So you can imagine, very frustrated, we went all around the country trying to help solve an issue. That's when my husband told me to stop complaining and do something, and I ran for office. And I ran for the assembly and was very honored to go out and talk to everybody door to door and find out what the issues were. And you know that the issues aren't necessarily what the media says. The issues are really in your home. What you and your parents talk about when you watch the commercials or advertisement or anything about elections on TV, it's not always exactly the way it is. And what they tell you is the most important issue isn't necessarily the most important issue to you where you live. So that was really important to me, and that was a really big eye-opener, and I enjoyed it so much being able to talk to the people. And I learned, after having two sons, that there are two sides to every event that happens. So having two boys in one room, something happened, you know something happened, because one's screaming, and the other one's looking innocent. But you know, between the two of them, something happened, but you don't know because they both have different stories, right? So it's the same way in politics. There's two sides to every story, and you need to listen. You need to know what it is that is affecting everybody. If it's a healthcare issue, if it's an education issue, you're the one that needs to listen to both sides. And once you listen to both sides, then you can make your judgment based on what's going on. That's what I did at the legislature. We were able to have people that would come in and talk to us and tell us both sides. That is very, very important. Family, I told you a little bit about my family. My father was a small business owner. My husband and I were small business owners. So for me, the Secretary of State's position was perfect because I had been in the legislature, knew that. I had been a chairperson for the elections committee. So for me, being a small business owner as well, it all fit together because of what we do. We have 8 divisions in the Secretary of State's office. Right now, what's the biggest thing for us? Nobody knows? What's the biggest thing out of our 8 divisions? ISIS? It's big. Elections! We have the elections division, and right now that's the biggest thing going on, and we're over that. So, I am the Chief Election Officer for the state of Nevada. And I laugh about it. They tell me I'm the keeper of the seal, but I've asked my staff where the seal is because I have no idea where it was, or where it is, and where it's supposed to be. We have 3 safes in there, and they're all open, but there's nothing in there. So we've been laughing about that for the last year and a half, but we're still looking for the seal. So if you guys know where it was hidden or anything about it, please let us know. We're still looking. ISIS has it? Okay, I'll check it out. One of the things that was very, very encouraging for me and really exciting for me is getting elected as Secretary of State. I also had the opportunity to still be involved in civics engagement and civics education, because education is where I started and why I started. So for me to be able to keep involved in that, and this is civics engagement, this is civics education, what we're doing right now with you. What I want to tell you about civics engagement is each and every one of you should be volunteering at something. It doesn't matter if you're on a campaign, it doesn't matter if you volunteer at your local veterinarian's office, any of the fish, any of the places that are in town, anything that you find that will help you engage in your community. It's very, very important that you get involved and that you give of your time. It could be at your church, but that civic engagement, it's a payback, because people have given to you and done stuff for you that you may never know. But you need to give back. So that's extremely important. Civics education. I have the pleasure of meeting one of the journalism students. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Yes. She asked me some very good questions. She did a really good job. And that's one of the things that I told her, is how important it is for you all to know who your Secretary of State is, but also what we do. Because it is mind-boggling. You have 6 constitutional offices, if you know what all of those are, and each one of us has different dynamics within our office of what we do. And as I said, we have 8 divisions. I'll have Scott talk a little bit more about the divisions. And I'm lucky enough to have Scott Anderson, which many of you know or heard of. I guess you're famous here. And Notorious, okay, they told me Notorious. But Scott comes with such a wealth of knowledge, and it was very interesting because Scott and I worked at the legislature. He'd come over and talk to me about his area as he worked in the Secretary of State's office for 17 years before I got him as the Chief of Staff. So he knows the business part inside and out, which is a huge value to me. And then Wayne, I've known Wayne for many years. He came in first as our operations deputy and then moved into the elections deputy position, which has done an absolutely fantastic job. I think in his next life he'll be an attorney by the time he gets done here. And then Jennifer Russell is my assistant, and I can't function without her. So whenever anybody says, can you do this, can you do that, can you be at this place, so you have to call Jennifer because she knows my schedule. And so I just really appreciate it. That isn't all she does. She does a lot of stuff for all of us. So we're very, very grateful to her and very appreciative. So that's my stuff. Yes. We have about 130 positions in the Secretary of State's office. So we have a lot of different areas that we need employees. So we have a lot of great people that work with us, work for us, and we have a wonderful team. I have the deputies we have, there's 5, and we have a weekly meeting, and it is really a great team. We call it the SOS team, and it is fabulous. One of the things I want to tell you about is one of the areas of the Secretary of State. I have several boards that I'm on. As the Secretary of State, you're automatically put on those. And I tell everybody the hardest one I have is I have to go up to Lake Tahoe once a month. Thank you for the sympathy. Thank you, thank you. That's what my staff does too. They laugh at me. But I have to tell you, I really love being on the TRPA. And it's the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, and it's really great. It's really been a wonderful adventure to be on that. But I'm also on the Board of Examiners with the Governor and the Attorney General. We have a State Records Committee that Scott is really does the yeoman's work on that. And the State Board of Prison Commissioners, I'm on that as well. The Executive Branch Audit Committee, the Advisory Committee on Participatory Democracy, which is one of the things that Wayne will talk to you about today. And then I told you about our fun fact, and that was the Keeper of the Seal, but we're still looking at it. When we find it, I'll let you know. Here it is. I think I've hit everything for right now, and if I think of more, we'll kind of interact up here with you, and I know you're going to have some questions. But I want to turn it over to Scott first, and then we'll have Wayne come up. And then if you want to know what it's like to be an executive assistant, you can ask Jennifer any questions that you'd like as well. Did I just put you on the spot? Yeah. All right, well, I'd like to introduce Scott Anderson.
So, good afternoon, Senators. I know many of you. I saw many of you last night, Wednesday Night Live. I was hoping to bring a video clip from one of your presentations, but our email was down this morning. As Barbara said, I've been in the office for 19 years now, 17 years ago for commercial recordings division. But also, I'm a graduate of Carson High School. I graduated in 1981, so I was when this gymnasium was first built, and so played on the Senator basketball team for a number of years, and love coming back to this school. And many people will see me around because I am involved with the drama productions around Carson City and the Carson High School as well. So the position I started out with under the then Secretary of State Dean Heller was in the commercial reporting division. That's one of our divisions that generates the most revenue for the state of Nevada. It generates over $170 million a year to the state government, which helps fund general governmental services within the state. And we have 350,000 business entities registered with the state of Nevada. Now, if you want to be in business, and those of you who are turning 18 can be on the board of directors of a corporation and can contract and have your own business, the commercial reporting division is the first place you need to go. We issue state business licenses. We file and keep on public record the articles of incorporation and articles of organization for corporations and limited liability companies. So the office is has a very important part of the commerce in this state. Not only in this state, but also in this country and around the world, because we have, again, 350,000 entities, not all that are located in the state, but they can be organized and functioning in other states. Okay, sorry, I'll just do this. Probably easier anyway. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the commercial reporting division is extremely important as far as commerce in the state and around the country. We also have what's called our document preparation services, domestic partnership, and living new lockbox. Document preparation services is registration of business entities that give certain form processing and quasi-legal services. And the problem was that people were being taken advantage of. And so the Secretary of State's office plays a very important role in registering those types of businesses. We also register domestic partnerships, and where two persons wanting to be in a domestic partnership is in comparison to a marriage, to register with our office as well. We also have the Living Will Lockbox, which is a registry for advanced directives. If you want to give your medical providers direction on your end of life or your health care, you can register with us as well. Excuse me. We also have Silver Flume, which is the Nevada Business Portal, which is the first stop where you can go and do registration with any number of state, local agencies in your business registration, with your business registration needs. Get a lot of valuable information there, and write this down, nvsilverflume.gov. And also nvsos.gov. Those are our business portal and our office website. So if you want to learn anything more about the office and about Silver Flume and our business portal, you can go there. The Secretary of State also registers and appoints notaries public in the state. Notaries are an important part of the business structure of the state of Nevada, and where a notary will validate the signature of a person signing certain legal documents and making sure that the person who's actually signing those documents is who they say they are. And it helps validate those legal documents. We also register, we have Securities Division, which registers investment advisors and dealer brokers to help protect Nevada investors, to make sure that the people that are selling them investments and where they invest their hard-earned money are at least registered and take certain training courses to make sure that they're protected. We also give investor training to any number of different groups, especially seniors, to make sure that they understand the importance of investing their money wisely, rather than just investing it with anybody who asks. And we also have an operations division, and this is a very important division because this supports the entire office structure. It's kind of the backbone of the office because it takes care of our technology needs through our IT department, our accounting needs through our accounting division, our human resources and hiring processes, and our budget. Now, our office, in fact, this morning, the secretary and myself, along with our operations deputy, sat with the governor's staff and the budget division to go through the budget for the next 2 years, starting with fiscal year 18 and 19. And that's very important because we went before them to tell them what we need to function as an office, and then that will go before the legislature, and they will approve the funds that are required for us to actually perform the duties of our office. And last but not least is the elections division, which in a moment here I will turn the microphone over to Wayne Thorley, because I think that's one of the main reasons we're here today, is to talk about the upcoming election and registering to vote. But as the Secretary stated, the Secretary of State is the Chief Elections Officer for the state of Nevada. And while the different counties administer the individual elections, the oversight of those elections rests with the Secretary of State. And right now it's a very, very busy division, as Wayne will attest, and we're spending a lot of time answering the questions of the public, dealing with candidate issues, and so we're doing a lot of work right now in relation to elections. So with that, it's been an honor to stand here in front of my fellow senators and discuss what we do in the Secretary of State's office, because when we come to most presentations, and it's just not schools, it's also presentations to adults, we generally don't understand what the Secretary of State does, because they think that we travel abroad and solve all sorts of international crises. And that is not the role of the Secretary of State and the Secretary in the state of Nevada. So with that, thank you very much for your time.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Wayne Thorley. I'm Deputy Secretary of State for Elections. A little bit about me. I'm from Las Vegas. I grew up, went to Bonanza High School. I am not a senator. I've got a couple of degrees from UNLV also. Go Rebels. There's my UNLV buddy right there. That's right. Sorry to put you on blast. All right, a little bit about elections. You may or may not know that there's an important election coming up on November 8th. So I want to talk a little bit about what the Secretary of State's office does to put on elections in the state of Nevada. The Secretary of State's office is responsible for filing candidates for office. Candidates are also required to periodically file campaign finance reports with our office. We work with the 17 counties and the local election officials in all those counties to actually administer and put on the election. That includes the process of voting, registering voters, and tallying the vote, and certifying the results. We have spent a lot of time answering questions, talking to the media, getting information about how the public can participate in an election. There's a number of guides and instructional pamphlets on our website, nvsos.gov, that explain how you can get involved in the initiative petition process, how you can become a candidate, how you can create a political action committee or PAC, what you can and cannot do as a candidate or a political action committee, and everything else related to elections. A little bit about voter registration. So who knows what the requirements are to register to vote in Nevada? You do not have to have a social security number. All right, there's 4 things. First, you have to be 18 years of age by the next election. So those of you that are 17 right now, but will be 18 by November 8th, you can register to vote. Second, you must be a resident of Nevada for at least 30 days. Third, you must be a U.S. citizen. And fourth, you must not be a felon. So, where's my criminals in here? Danny? Anybody that dresses like that should be charged with a felony. All right. So on Tuesday we had National Voter Registration Day. That's a day that all the National Association of Secretaries of State, to which we belong, and a number of celebrities, media outlets, and independent organizations all came together to promote voter registration on Tuesday, September 27th. We joined in that effort, and we were able to get 3,701 new and updated registrations through our online voter registration site. And we're very appreciative for those that helped out in that effort and got the word out. And if you aren't registered to vote, and you will be 18 before November 8th, there's still time to register to vote. The deadline to register to vote in Nevada is October 8th for mail-in registration. It must be postmarked by October 8th. If you want to register online, or you wish to register in person at the county clerk's office here in Carson City, you can do that up until October 18th. So you get 10 extra days if you register online or in person. To register to vote online, you go to the website, it's register2votenv.gov. So www.register2votenv.gov. You must have a valid Nevada driver's license to register to vote online. Although it is not required to register to vote in general, we do live validation for online registrations, and we're connected to the DMV's database. So if you do have a driver's license and you will be 18, and you can register online. If you don't have a driver's license and you will be 18, you can go to the county clerk's office, or you can fill out one of the mail-in registration forms. So, how many of you were 18 again? Raise your hand. That's a lot. All right. How many of you will be 18 by November 8th? Raise your hand again. All right. So there are 18,407 18-year-olds that are currently registered to vote in the state of Nevada. That includes 330 18-year-olds in Carson City right now that are registered to vote. For those of you that raise your hands, you're part of that 330. We encourage all of you to register to vote as soon as you can. Once the election is over, those of you that aren't 18 but will be 18 by the next time there's an election, which will be in 2018, you can all begin registering to vote. We also have 1,861 P17 voters. These are the voters that are 17 now and will be 18 by election day. So you may know that in addition to the presidential election, there's a number of ballot questions that will be on the ballot this year, statewide ballot questions and local ballot questions. They cover a variety of topics from background checks for private transfer of firearms, to recreational use of marijuana, to sales tax, the elimination of sales tax on certain medical equipment, and the deregulation of the energy market. There's also an initiative or a question on the ballot related to infrastructure and construction and raising certain taxes to fuel taxes to allow for construction of more roads and maintenance of roads. Another service that we offer is the student mock election. I don't know if any of you have heard about this, but we are giving all of you, regardless of whether you are an actual registered voter or not, the opportunity to vote in our student mock election. This is held statewide with all students in the state of Nevada and is done through our website called youthvote.nv.gov. And I'll pull it up right here. So this is our student mock election website. What this website allows school administrators and teachers to do is register their students. Then the administrator or teacher will get a list of user IDs and passwords, and then students can log on and on election day, and they'll be able to vote. Now it's not open yet because it's not election day, but you'll just click vote there. And we have a slightly modified ballot, but it does include the U.S. President candidates, the candidates for U.S. Senate in Nevada, the candidates for Congress, representative of Congress, the statewide ballot questions, and a number of other questions. So if you're interested in participating in the student mock election, please talk to your teachers or school administrator, or you can contact our office, and we will help you guys get set up. All the voting will be done online. The results will be tabulated and displayed online, and you'll be able to see how your peers, not only in just this school, but statewide, have voted. The last thing I want to talk about, because I think we're running out of time, is election security and voter fraud. There's been a lot of talk in the media recently about the security of the election systems in this country, and it's an issue that we're very much aware of, we take very seriously, and there's a number of safeguards and procedures in place to protect the integrity of the election process. In Nevada, for in-person voting, you vote on what's called a DRE, a direct recording electronic voting machine. Those machines are not connected to any system or network. There's no Wi-Fi accessibility, remote access to them. They are under what we call a chain of custody, under lock and key. There's tamper-evident security seals. We do a lot to ensure the integrity of the election so that the public can be confident that their vote is being counted and tabulated accurately. We also rely on the 17 local elected officials in each county to implement procedures that we prescribe, and we do training to make sure that those procedures are being followed. The voting machines they require security access, biometric screening in our largest counties, and they're constantly under lock and key and surveillance. I think that's it for elections. Again, we encourage all of you that have not registered to vote and will be 18 to please register to vote by October 8th if you're going to do mail-in registration, or October 18th if you're going to register online. Thank you very much.
We did leave time for questions, I believe, and all three of us will. Thank you. But before we go any further, I want to present a proclamation from the Secretary of State's office to Angela Golick. And I want to thank you so much for having us here, for what you do for the students in your school. And I want to thank you all for the registration efforts that the school is doing. But we probably would be remiss if we did not thank you personally with this.
All right, well that was a surprise. Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't know where to put this. I'll probably sleep with it tonight. That's the government nerd in me. Okay, so we have a couple questions, a couple minutes for a couple questions, but I know I have some students that are going to come down here courageously and grab this microphone and ask a couple questions. We're going to start with Elise. I think Elise has our first question that the kids are very interested in. With the special session perhaps coming up, this question is important. So.
Well, all three come up and see how we can participate in answers.
Hi, thank you for coming and talking to us today. My question for you is, do you have an opinion about the proposal to build a stadium in Southern Nevada that would be home to the Raiders NFL team?
Okay, I live in Las Vegas and I've been there for 43 years. And what I've been told about what's going on, because I try to keep up with all of the subjects that are being discussed, is that they are going in, the legislators are going in for a special session if the governor calls it, which he's supposed to, and they have two decisions to make. Either the legislature takes it and they vote it up or down, or they send it to the county and give them permission to raise the taxes. And so there's controversy on each side, and that's what they're deliberating right now on, is trying to decide that. There's a lot of mixed feelings, there's a lot of groups coming out for it, there's a lot of groups coming out opposed to it. So I'm right now just gathering all of the information. I personally don't have up or down because I don't know all of the information, but I do know that this will be up to the legislature.
The only thing I want to add is that I'm a Niner fan.
Go Vikings. Who's the next question? Come on over. A couple more questions. Please come down and be ready to go.
So, as you point out, this question is pretty tough subject for you. Do you have to meet with the governor directly?
I don't have to, but a lot of the boards that I talk to that I'm on, I'm with him, and then we talk about pressing issues. Anything that's coming up with Secretary of State and Governor. But to be honest with you, all of us, all 6 of the constitutional offices are constantly going on our own. We have different things that we do, so we always don't run into each other in the parking lot when we go home at night. But I work with him very closely on the committees we're on. And just so you know, the boards that I'm on with him, I can't discuss with him the items that are on the agenda. We can talk about other stuff. But once we go to the meeting, then we can have a discussion there. But he's like 6 feet, his door and my door at the Capitol. Oh, and before I forget, can I add this in? The Capitol is open, and the Capitol belongs to the people of the state of Nevada. And I want you to know that the Secretary of State's office is open anytime you want to come in. And poor Jennifer, I tell her this. Everywhere I go, I tell the people of Nevada, if you want to come into the office and see this beautiful structure, which it is, an absolute stunning architect, come in because it's your building. And Jennifer will show you around.
How much voter fraud do you guys see in the state of Nevada?
So voter fraud is a pretty broad term. When people talk about voter fraud, they could be talking about any number of issues: voting twice in the same election, voter registration fraud, impersonation fraud. It could be dead people voting, felons voting. So I'm just going to talk broadly about voter registration or voter fraud in general. We have what we call the Election Integrity Task Force. It's a joint task force of state and federal law enforcement agencies and the Secretary of State's office that we convene for each election to come together and investigate any claims or allegations of voter fraud We have prosecuted a number of cases of voter fraud and election fraud. In 2012, there was a lady that attempted to vote twice and was arrested and charged with voter fraud. In 2014, there was a woman who had stolen the identity of another person and registered to vote and actually did vote in 2 elections. That was discovered and she was prosecuted. And most recently, we arrested a person for voter registration fraud in this state and charged them with a number of felonies and they are awaiting trial. Thank you. My question is for Secretary of State. What's the best year part of your job?
But coming here, of course, is the best part. I love my job, and I really feel very blessed to have been elected by the great people in Nevada, the voters. I really love what I do. We've got a great team. Some days we work anywhere from 8, 10, 12 hours, and sometimes that's really hard to work that long because they all have family up here. I don't, but I do down in Vegas. And it's hard, sometimes the hours and the travel that we do throughout the state. But we like traveling because we get to go out and we get to hear what the other clerks in the other districts or the voters are saying, what they need, what their needs are in the different areas. So it's kind of that mixed blend. But that's a great question. But I do love my job. I really do love what I'm doing. Yes.
All right, you guys, so I want you to just sit still for a minute. I have a parting remarks here to make. Thank you for your questions. We only have like 2 minutes left before the bell rings. I just want to say that, you know, the government teachers and your social studies teachers in this building have spent a lot of years trying to make you guys ready for the future to be citizens. I would like you to be quiet right now would be the first thing. Thank you. All right? We have worked really hard in our school, and I'm very proud of the people I work with, all of the teachers I work with, and the education they have given you to go out and exercise your right to vote. And you know, and I say this in my class all the time, 1 out of 4 of you will actually do that. And it's my goal to raise that statistic, meaning 25% of 18-year-olds will actually vote. So we need to raise that. Our goal for bringing the secretary here today was to give you first-hand knowledge, first-hand experience of seeing her and meeting her, and I hope that you appreciate what we've all done, what they have all done in their time today to be here. So I would like you to give them that huge senator thank you again for being here. For everything, for being here and taking time out of your extremely busy schedule. And we do participate in the student mock election, FYI, just so you know. You'll be getting that information in your classes to participate in the mock election. All right, thank you guys. This was awesome. Go safely.